Hello, everyone. Megan here from Romance by the Book with the lovely Marielle.
Hello.
And our amazing guest today is Naima Simone. Thank
Hey,
you for being here.
I
She
love
picked our book
coming.
of the month, and we are so happy.
Yep, it was great. I mean, it was
It was great.
for an author I had never heard of. I think Megan, you did have some of
I've
her
read
books but hadn't
several
read.
books, but nothing from this series,
But it was
and
like
nothing
exactly what I
paranormal.
needed for me anyway. So I was like, woo. So I've heard actually Fated Mates even talk about this a little bit, how some people when they're stressed out, like you either want to read soft, like gentle, cushy romances, or you want like bananas. And I think I go between the two. This was
Yeah.
like balls to the wall. Like I'm in. I was like, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen next? But it was great. It completely like was what I needed. So thank you for
Yeah.
picking just the right book
You're
for me.
so Yes.
welcome.
I love this series so much. Like before the last book came out, well, the book before that too. I just like slid in Sherilee's DMs in a totally platonic way, but shamefully begging way, and
Like,
said,
hello,
"Listen,
I would like
when
to
the
read
man,
this,
that's
please.
ARCs are done."
Just like I would like to be friends with
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I mean, I beg shamelessly because I could not wait until release day. I needed it. I needed that fix of the next book. She hooked me right away. This book
That's
was
amazing.
the whole series is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
That
anytime a man will rip another, not a man, but a hellhound will rip another hellhound's head off for you. That man, I mean, like, come on, how you gonna resist him?
I mean, I think that this probably brings us to um a a point in this story that was very interesting to me, and that was how the hero in this story was so confused then why the heroine did not like why doesn't she understand that we need to be together.
Like they
And
were
he would be
meant for
like,
each other.
there were parts in this book where he was like, I have shown her that I would protect her. I did kill that man. Why
this
is
isn't
she
good
not
enough.
staying with me? She still went home. What happened? And
He just
I
did
could
not.
not. I was like, poor boy. Come
Poor
here, let
Warwick.
me explain
Poor
something.
confused
Al-
Warwick. Bless his
Also, the
heart.
moment that it was like, I understand feelings, but I
Right.
do not
But
feel them.
that ain't
I,
me.
yeah. Did you immediately have the thought of
I'm
like,
like, dude, you are so far in over your head. I don't even know how to explain this to you that you are so far gone for this woman. But hey, I'm gonna let you have it. Go on.
Right? And I wrote down to talk about this too, because I'm like, they both convinced themselves that he couldn't feel feelings, including love, when literally everyone else could see that he was
Yes,
clearly in love with her. And the two of them were like,
yes.
oh no, impossible.
From like the first moment he was on the page with her.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
mean, it was, or rather
immediate.
for me, it was like the first when he showed up when she was in the forest after having been bitten by the
Oh yeah.
mother.
Hmm.
And he just showed up and he was so angry at herself for putting herself in danger. I'm like, yo,
This man
dude
loves
is
In
you.
the
gone.
prologue, when he
Yeah,
picks her up and he was like, no one will ever hurt you ever
Right,
again. I
right,
was
right.
like,
exactly. Like
and
right from the beginning.
she's just like, nope, definitely not for me. Excuse me.
And then I'm like, how are you resisting? I need lessons. I need lessons. How are you resisting this big D energy? I don't get it. Like, tell me.
He didn't get it either. He was
No.
very confused and very sad for a long
Uh,
time.
she held out longer than I would have because as soon as he carried me out, I'd have been like,
Oh man.
Yes, 100% yes. Oh
And
my
I was
gosh.
like, I live here now. Thank you very much.
hey,
Okay,
I'm
so first,
easy. I don't know what that say about me.
my we're with you. We're with you. So my first question that I kind of wanted to start with is like, why did you choose this book for us? What was it about this book that you wanted us to read?
Oh, because I had to choose between another one, and you was like one that you haven't read before that we can all read, or one that you already know. And so there was another book I was reading that was totally fantastic so far. I'd only been in the beginning, but I'm like, you know a book is fantastic when it does not leave your memory and it always stays with you. And even though this series is like, what, 3 in so far? Or
3.
4? 3.
3, a fourth
3,
one
there's a fourth.
is coming up.
Yeah, it's the little novella. I'm like, I have never ever forgotten the first book. And each book that comes after it just increases my obsession. But that first book, I swear, I'm like Jacob with the Renesmee. It imprinted on me. I'm just telling you, it just imprinted on me. And anytime anybody asks me like my favorite books, it's like the book by the author I can't name, and then it's like Chronicles of Narnia, like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it's this one. It's like the whole series, and Nalini Singh, of course, like all her books, but and it's this one because it is just, and I need to like shout it now. It's like, yeah, it imprinted on me. It has
I do feel like this is a book that people aren't talking about enough.
Right.
And I did slide into a couple of people's DMs and was like, hello, have you heard of this book?
Have you read this? Like, have you read this?
I did the same. I was like, you need to read this immediately.
Like, I'm shoving it in front of everybody. Anytime anybody asks me like for a recommendation, like, here, have you read this? Do you like paranormal? Let me give you something that you need.
I didn't even ask if they like paranormal, honestly. I was
like, this book is
that
great
too.
Way.
Because I'm like, if you don't like paranormal, let me bust your cherry. And if you do, you need to be reading this.
Yeah.
This is a book that will make you love paranormal. Because
it was a very interesting mix too, because it was paranormal, but it was also kind of motorcycle clubbish, and then it was also very witchy. So there were, it's like, and it was very like emotionally kind of like intense and dark sometimes, but it was also very funny sometimes. Super enjoyable read.
Well, and the sisters had everything too is the whole vibe, like the way the sisters were. And that's actually something else I wrote down to talk about, is just like how different all the sisters were, but how realistic it was, because it's like the oldest one, the protector, the one that rebels, the one who everybody else takes care of, the it was like but it all felt very like organic to me. I really was into that.
It's like, and then there's like the peacemaker, then there's the matriarch over all of them, and it's like, to me, it has everything. It has like family, it has like the excitement, it has a mystery, it has like a thriller, and then it has the hottest romance. Like, oh my God,
have we ever seen a like hellhound shifter before?
I never have.
I've never read a hellhound. Never.
I guess he's not a shifter, but you know what I mean. I guess he does.
He does. He does shift.
Yeah. And boy, does he.
That was the other thing I wrote down. Why are hellhounds so sexy? ?
It was like he has
really all of them were.
He has like this whole feral thing going on. Like, he is riding the edge of being civilized and completely feral. And it was like, it is so hot. And he doesn't change at all for her. Like, he is who he is, and she accepts who he is. Like, he's not human, like, by any means. And I love it.
She doesn't have to change really either. It's just them kind of like accepting where they're at.
And that they can fit together without changing anything, really.
Yeah, because he fit into her family. Like, they
immediately.
They the witch. Yeah, I love that.
Speaking of the hounds, I hope that she does some kind of spinoff or something, because Relic needs a book. Okay.
Yes,
I love that man. He's funny. He's flirty. He's amazing. He needs a book.
And because he is like funny and flirty, I feel like there is so much more underneath that, right? I'm like, and then I want to spin off with him too, because I want like Lucifer all the books. That's hilarious.
Yes.
Her take on Lucifer was also very funny to me. Like, was very different. I was like, he was real like chill for what I would have expected, but then like menacing here and there, and I was like, and also like when he sent, like pulls them into like, oh, well, I needed you. And
Yeah.
then
I can tell what you had going on in your life or death. What? Yeah.
Yeah, that's very king-like, right? Like, I don't care
Yeah.
what you're doing. I need you here. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just like I love that whole dynamic. It was almost like, it reminded me of the Lucifer from TV, the television show.
yeah,
That's kind of like how he was, but with the like darker edge, because I feel like at any minute he could turn around
Oh,
and
yeah.
like
hmm
go scorched earth on you.
Yeah.
yeah. I had the same like in my head. That's kind of the image that I saw with some, kind of like, hey guys, were you
Fine
waiting
until
out
it's
there
not
for
fine.
5 days?
That's,
Yeah.
Come on in. It's fine.
So do you have a favorite character in this book? That's another question I had for you.
God, you're just like,
I
oh,
know it's
that's so
hard.
hard.
It's hard.
Um, I mean, it has to be, oh God, I can't pick between Warwick and Willow. I can't.
I know. I put kind of as a caveat. I was like, or you can say the favorite sister and then the favorite character. So then you can say
Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. Then Warwick and Willow. Until
until. Oh,
I'm not
Rose.
going to spoil that because people, I need you to go read book 2 and book 3 and then
Which I
come
have
talk
read,
to
and you
me.
definitely need to read.
That's right. You need to, because then it's like, oh, you think this sister is your favorite until you read the next one. And then you read, oh, no. She just edges her out a bit. And then you read the next one. It's like, oh, snap.
And then we're just all impatiently waiting for book 4.
Yes, impatiently. I mean, I know them being a total hypocrite, Sherilee, but like, what are you doing right now? If you're not writing, I'm gonna need you to like get on that. I don't forget that eating shit. I need you to write. Oh, sorry.
That's amazing. Amazing.
So yeah,
I love how as a like I feel like as a writer, people like, well, because I also write, and I'm like, I feel like it's so much like labor to make a book happen. But when I am reading someone else's book,
yes,
immediately I forget, because I do that with you too, Naima Simone, where I'll be like, where's the next one? This one was just out last week. What is happening?
I know, like, why haven't you already been on it? I don't understand. Like, you need a what? A break? What's
You have
break?
a regular life?
Refill the well? No.
Why are we being so pampered right now? I don't understand. It's so entitled. You want time?
Oh my gosh.
But it's like I was saying to you before we started, like it's the same for me. I just want to dive right into the next book, and that's what she does. Like like I was saying, I just DM'd her and like, when we gonna have the next one? Like, I mean, I know this just came out, but how far along are you? Do you need me to read chapter by chapter? I'm willing to do that.
I volunteer as tribute.
I volunteer as tribute. I'll just say it.
Just like, I will be your new alpha reader. Send it now.
Oh my God, it's so good. So there were a ton of twists in this book.
She is a master at that.
It's really good. And so my question was, did you see any of them coming, or did each one surprise you?
Every single one of them surprised me. And I guess, especially the big one, there were two. Like, what she does is she has like tiny ones along the way, and then she has like this major one, but she had two major ones. The first one, I'm that person, sorry, not sorry, that will skim ahead to see how everything is going to shake out. Like, I need to know. And I forced myself not to do it because I didn't want to ruin it. And I know me, I would ruin it. So every single, like the two big ones especially, came as a total shocker, especially because I had read The Knights of Hell.
Right.
And so like, I'm like, damn, didn't see none of this coming. It was, she kept me guessing the entire time.
There were some things that like people, there was the one character who was introduced and I was like, I think this might be a bad person. But then I was like, well, maybe I was too hasty. And then I was like, what? And I feel like
Yes.
for me, I in real life sometimes have this experience. Do you? Like when you meet somebody and you're like, I don't know. And then I'm like, don't be mean. Don't be judgy. Sometimes like people can surprise you and then, and then they don't, or they do in the worst way.
Yeah, they do in the way you don't want them to.
This book, I was like, oh no. But also she did a thing in this book that I have never, I don't think, seen before, which is that she gave you like kind of two endings. Like you got to see
Yes. Yes.
what would have happened one
Yes.
way or another way. And I
It
was
was
not
like it was
expecting
like
that.
Twilight, you know, it's like, but not as irritating as when all that happened. It's like, well, not irritating because you didn't want everybody to die in Twilight, but still, it's like, what the hell? But this was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? This can't happen like that. It's an HEA. What?
Yes.
How are they going to pull this through, turn it around? And because it's a romance, it's like, look, we know there has to be a happily ever after, but I swear I didn't know how she was going to do it.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
And then it was like the
think it
silliest
through.
fix. I was like, what?
I don't,
But it made perfect sense too.
It-
And then
it
you get
did. It
cheeky
did.
Lucifer in there too, because he's like, I think I made a mistake. He's like, yeah, you did.
that was so funny. That was so
You for sure did,
hilarious.
dude.
What I
That was
learned
so
was that
hilarious.
when speaking to Lucifer, it pays to like be very specific and
It does. It does. All the tales we have heard is true. You need like exact details with messing with Lucifer.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
hilarious. He was so nonchalant about it.
I
He was
know.
like,
Oh,
I
whoops.
think I made a
I'm like,
mistake." Yeah.
that is the voice of evil. The person who's just like, oh, did I just make you see the most traumatizing, terrible thing you would ever?
Thing ever.
Oh, too bad. Let me
My
try that
bad.
again.
Let me just fix that.
But only this much, like not far enough so that none of it
Right.
has to
Still gotta
happen.
put
I'll
some
just
work in. But also what I loved about this, like the women were so central to the entire book.
Mhm.
And what I like just adored was that even though Warwick helped her, he didn't save her. You know what I mean? It's like the women in all the books save themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like the keeper of their whole, like her and each sister will have to go through with it, is that trial to protect their power. And it's on them. And they're all very strong women in their own ways because they are very different.
Mhm.
And so I love she kept that theme, and that even though he did like, oh, did he help in the end? But it was really up to her and the family to save themselves. And I just adored that. You know, I
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to ask you about that I thought was super interesting about this book, and I wanted to ask you kind of like as a writer, if how you saw this or if you tried to like pick it apart. But I thought that like the stakes were so big
From the beginning.
from the beginning,
Yeah.
but the actual like what I thought the stakes were going to be in the end, that wasn't the thing at all.
Yeah.
Because this book starts off with Willow as the keeper of her coven. Like she gets kind of assigned a task and she's got to do this trial, and she doesn't know what the task is. So first of all, she gets bitten by a huge snake, which
Oh
I was
God.
like,
I was just thankful it wasn't a spider. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I could have did that. Snakes I can handle. I was just glad the mother didn't choose the shape of a spider.
yeah.
I couldn't do Sheila. I didn't.
But then like I'm thinking like, oh no, this is all about her trial
The
and all
past.
about her. I thought, I mean, and it's my fault because I shouldn't read like the very beginning of a book and immediately imagine what the rest is going to be. But I thought like it was all going to be tied to this trial and to this, and in the when it came down to it, it was not.
No, it
And
like
so they're
that was
twisting
not
It was
the
like
major thing.
linked, but it wasn't like
Like
the thing. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't the huge world in danger, aliens invading type thing. Like they have
Right.
to say it, and I thought that too. Like, and I'm a writer, but I don't write like this. You know, like my plots are in my world, I'd rather, is just not as complicated as this was. So I'm like you, when I started reading it, I thought this was going to be the thing. And when she completed her trial and then the little battle between witches afterwards, that was going to be it. Like, okay, we're done. This is the end of the book. This is a really long epilogue. Why we have like 20%
Yeah,
left?
I was like,
but I thought that was it because that took up a lot of the book. And then to find out, oh my God, we got a whole nother ending as a reader. I was totally thrilled because there was still more story that I absolutely did not see coming. You know, as a writer, I was intimidated because I was like, look, this is what people got to pick from like me and this writing right here. Hell, I'm picking her.
I thought it did a lot for character development though too, because Willow was very focused on, like, she thought that that everything was like tied to stuff,
and that's
then
why
she was
we
wrong.
did, because she did. So as the reader, we did too, because she was so convinced. And for her past literally to come back and haunt her, and you know, I just didn't see that coming, and I thought it was brilliant. I really did. I was so impressed and so thrilled.
It reminds me, I just listened to this Heaving Bosoms episode where they were talking about the madness of Lord and Mackenzie, and they were talking about how like it's like this part of the book could have just been a book, and then this section could have been a book, and then this section could have been a book, and instead it's just like blam, it's all in there, and it's like it's amazing. And that's kind of how I felt about this too. It's like this one thing could have been the whole deal, and
all along. It was I thought she did a fantastic and wrapping up kind of, it wasn't a loose end because the story was finished in the Knights of Hell, and we saw part of that in the prologue, but really tying the series in together, not just by character, but by story arc too. And we got to see like, okay, this is the real ending. And I loved it, especially as a fan of the previous series. I really loved how she did that. I'm like, her plotting board must be bananas.
Right?
Have all these strings tied together,
but it does give you the impression that the world is huge. Because I mean, it's like obviously what I'm seeing and what I think I'm seeing is part of it, but there's so much more.
As we see, like at the end with the wolf, you know, coming in.
Book,
and then in the third book, we have even more creatures you didn't know existed. It's like it's ever expanding, and that's for reader. I'm like, this is the gift that keeps on giving. And as a writer, I'm like, this is a masterclass in how you do world building. Like, she could teach a lot. It's wonderful.
I had told you, Naima, that the novella I got this month from the HEA Collective is from her, and it's in the same universe, and it's about a vampire.
I just got it.
Like, did you? It's really good.
I'm reading it this week.
So you get like a whole other side of this world that you had like allusions to, but didn't really know about. The closest you have is Ronan,
right? In the club,
he's only half, and you still don't really know everything, you know, because of that. And he obviously didn't get raised around other vampires either. So, so seeing like a vampire situation in this same universe was super interesting too. So it's a very cool world.
Okay, because it's like all we've seen so far, the vampires is like the club, and then we got to meet like so
that's
got to meet the one guy in 3.
That's wait, was that in this book or was that in
3? In this book we only met Ronan, I think.
They met Ronan in book 1, but he wasn't like a mate, because he like, I loved how he was.
Oh yeah, because he's like, so there's a vampire that owns a club and girls are getting killed there. That's like a plot in a later book, and the vampire is very like stoic and very like like robotic a little bit, maybe.
No, in this book, in this one, it's just Ronan, and he is very like, he's very observant and he's very kind of quiet,
emotionless.
Yes.
I mean, I thought he was very kind of quiet and very observant, and then when he did speak, it was like, no, man, don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
right.
that
I
was
did
the
love
wrong
Relic
thing.
being like, this is one of those times we talked about, bud. Like, you can't just say stuff like that to
He
people.
has zero. He has no.
The only
social
thing he
filter.
said was,
You're
"You
sick."
look very sick and terrible." I'm like,
It's so blunt. It's just so
Oh,
funny.
poor Rose. Oh man, Rose. Poor Rose. Can you, I mean, you got to know, like, as a human,
God.
you're going
I
like, oh
loved
my God,
him.
like, of course she's
I absolutely
mortified
loved
by
him.
this, because of course she would be. She already feels like, she's sickly and like, not
Yes, not
nice to look at as her
attractive.
sisters. And then he's like, you're sick. What's wrong with you? And she's like, oh my God, hide me.
I love him.
Oh, Ronan.
the
Bless
thing
his heart.
that is, I think, definitely a little bit of like writer magic is to be able to put a character in the book who is like that, but is not off-putting at all.
Mhm.
Right.
Like, I read
right.
him and was like,
Yes.
what's happening over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as he like carried her into the other room, I was like, oh, so that's going to be a thing. Like,
I know.
sequel
I
bait.
was like,
Give it
oh
to
my
me.
God, when we get their book.
Give me all
Please
the sequel bait.
explain.
Oh,
Well,
'cause
and I also
you
really
meet that
like
character. Oh,
her
go ahead.
epilogues, the way she does her epilogues and how they're like sequel bait
Yes.
for the next book, as opposed to being like a closing of
Just the
the
story.
first book, like,
Yeah.
especially in this case, I think because it is sisters. And so, you're going to see them again. It's not like that
Right.
book's done and you're never going to see them again. You know what I mean? So you almost don't need the epilogue to be about them, because that
Right.
they're going to be like popping back
And
up.
you'll
Instead,
see
it's
like how their relationship is kind of going
The
in
next
other
books in the series are
Yeah.
epilogues a little bit.
and
Yeah,
so
she was
instead it
so
just like
cool with her
entices you even
epilogues.
more for the next
Yes.
book.
And I'm like, no, what's
You're
going
like,
to
these are
happen?
cool. I thought they were very
Why
mean.
does he hate
They
her?
were mean. Well, I went ahead and just read the next books, which is the whole point of them, I
Yes.
guess. So
I had
it
to
worked on
wait.
me.
I ain't gonna lie. When you told me you was getting ready to read like the second book and I was mean mugging you because I'm like, she ain't even had to wait. Like, I had to wait. It's not
Now
fair.
I'm waiting with you, and it's terrible.
And she has the epilogue just leaves you like yearning for more of an epilogue. I'm like, no, you can't stop right here. Give me some more. Like, why does he hate her? Who does he remind her of? Who does he think she is?
Right. Who does he think
And
she
he's
is?
so hot.
And
Well,
naked in the garden.
Yes, Lord, and don't care.
it's
I will say that for me, like, when the series does that, I have a tendency to like collect the books and like sit them there, because when I read them, I'm just gonna take one of my stretches
through.
off from work and I'm gonna
Yep.
read all of them.
Straight
Yep.
through.
Mhm.
Yeah, straight through.
I do not.
wish I could do that.
Megan already knows this about me. Naima is learning, I guess. I don't like to wait. I don't like
Amen,
to stand in
sister.
line. I don't like to. If I'm gonna, I want them now. So
That's how I am with cliffhangers. I'm like, if I know a book is a cliffhanger, I'll buy it, but I'm not going to read it until the next one comes out, because I'm not going to be sitting here for months, like waiting to find out what happened. So I do that when I have books that by authors I love, but I hate cliffhangers. So I'll just buy it and collect them and read them in one go.
Yeah. And these books are not cliffhangers.
No,
but if
they
you
can be
read the
standalone.
epilogue, then that's like a teaser, which is
like gimme.
Yes, it definitely leaves you wanting more. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
She's so good. I can't talk about her or the series without smiling.
it's good.
It's great.
It's a good thing.
It's so great.
What did you think about Willow and her, like, I guess she had a very kind of complicated relationship with love, because she was very, like, she was fine with just like having sex with people.
Right.
She was fine with like, oh, should I do a marriage of convenience? I mean, I guess that's fine.
Right.
But she was not okay with like feelings being involved in her like relationships.
Mhm.
And she like stuck to her guns. Like, that was a thing that I thought was very different to me to read in a book was a heroine who was just like, no, I know what I need
Yep.
and I know what I want, and this isn't.
Because that's
not it.
usually the
Yep.
hero who's like that. I think like the roles were like the roles that we're used to as far as like the character who's all in and admits early and shows their vulnerability is usually the heroine. And it was
Mhm.
reversed in this.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
And
she was like, it wasn't even like love hurt me, but like I had a bad
no,
relationship.
she
She was
was
just
just
like,
extremely focused and she knew what she wanted, and love wasn't it. I thought it was great that you had a female character who was just want to F and I don't need feelings to do that. I know what I want and I know how I want to get off, and you can do that for me without all the feelings involved, or we don't have anything and get out of my way.
Right.
I'm like, I love that. This for the same reasons that I love when a hero's like that, because I enjoy seeing them fall.
Mhm.
And and reading the parts where they show their softer side and their vulnerability to the other person. Like
Mhm.
I love that. It was like you said, it was unusual to read that with a heroine. And not because she had been hurt. Like it was just she knew what she wanted. And she had a lot of responsibilities on her shoulders. And she didn't want anything to be a distraction. And she knew he would be a distraction because he was already getting in the way of her stuff. Like,
well, and she
you
didn't
wanna leave
want a
her alone.
relationship. Yeah, she didn't want any relationship that was going to mean that she got left alone. Like, you know, that she got
Right.
invested and then she got left. And she was like,
Well,
and
and she's seen
you,
her mother. She's seen her mother go through a lot of that too. So,
yeah, and she was like, I don't have time for this. You already
mm-mm.
told me that you can't have feelings, so why am I
So
gonna invest my
Right. I'm
feelings if
not
I can't have
investing.
any?
She's
And I
yeah.
was
basically like, I'm
like,
not
oh,
investing more than you are. Like,
Right. Well,
no.
and it was interesting too because she was very like she has this whole life. She's a witch. She's got her family to take care of, her
Yep.
sisters, her mom, her one sister's sick. Like she's like, I don't need you. Like I don't have time for
No.
this anyway. If you
Yeah.
can't give me what I want out of this, then I'm not going to bother. Like why
and
would
this
Yeah.
I?
is just trouble.
Yeah.
She
But it
was
was
one of those
interesting because
characters.
sorry, continue.
Oh, no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I was
ahead.
just thinking that was interesting because there were times when she was like, man, though, but maybe. But then she would very much like remind herself, like, no.
Yeah,
And
no.
he could tell, and it was very frustrating to him.
Right. Every time she
But
Because
pulled
he
back.
also,
wanted in her world. Like he knew they were supposed to be together. And it was like, that doesn't have to be love, because I don't know anything about love, but I do know you are my mate.
Right.
And that's what makes sense here.
And if he
Why
had
don't you
actually said that
admit it?
word, maybe their conversations would have been different, but he never
Right.
did until after she
Men.
already
Oh
agreed.
God. Males. Like, what are you gonna do?
Warwick.
Because
he
It was like
really
they were
did
speaking a whole
several
different language.
times just say the very
get in
wrong
his
thing.
own way. Like, dude.
Well, it's like they were speaking a whole different language. Like he didn't understand what she needed.
Yeah.
And what she
Yep.
needed was for him to say, "You're my
My
mate."
mate, right.
Like,
And he was like,
you're the
my
one.
sister's dog brings her like a dead squirrel and is like, pet me. Aren't you proud of me? I'm saying how I love you. Look at this squirrel at your feet. And she's like, yeah, I just want an I love you or a mate. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need the
Like I think
carnage.
even without I love you, I think if she had known that as far as he was concerned, she was it. Like she was
Yeah,
the
that
one
she
that was
was
meant to be
the
with him.
one. Because
That would have been a
hellhounds
whole
are
different conversation.
promiscuous, like, and she's like, I just need to know that it's us. Like, I'm it
Only
for you.
me.
Yeah.
Well,
Because like I said, she's seen her mother go through like so many relationships. Like all of them had different fathers.
Right.
And she had seen her mother's heart be broken and she wanted no part of that, because in her experience, men didn't stay. So she just thought that he was in it like to screw, and then it would have been fantastic screwing though. I mean, dude, I still need lessons on how she resisted that. Like, ugh.
he
But
was
that's what
so
she
it
did.
was interesting to me that the mistakes that he made, they were so like particularly bad for her too, right? Like
Right.
he
Like the worst.
let her
Yeah.
think that he had some lady in there with him, and he's like,
Yes,
because
Lord.
ooh, now she'll be jealous, and now but actually what happened was that she was like, confirmed, I can't be with
That's
this
right.
person.
That's right. You're a hoe.
So it was
I will
I
not
mean, I
be
thought
one
that
of many.
yeah, I thought Sherilyn did a really good job of like making them like they're perfect for each other, but also they were doing things that were like the
Yeah,
exact
The
thing that was
exact wrong
gonna,
thing.
yeah.
yeah.
Because she was like, and she didn't do it on purpose. It's because she was so independent and a
Mhm.
whole person on her own. So she did things without telling him, or she didn't feel she had to.
Yeah.
And she was going about her business. And even if that meant putting herself in dangerous situations, and that drove him mad. It's
Yeah.
like, just let me protect you.
Same with her familiar. That was the other thing too.
Yeah. Oh
That
God,
she
I want his
trying
books
to
so bad.
protect people. Yeah.
He
That
needs the
I
book
did.
too.
I mean, I want his book like right after Meg's. Like, I want his book. He's like better in book 3, but he's
Just
still,
starting to get better, and it's been like 2 years
yes,
basically.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing a little more of him, but you could still see how like haunted he is. And I mean, after going through what he suffered, he's never going to be the Ren we saw in the beginning of the book. Like,
Mhm.
No, but I would love to see what kind of person
me
he
too.
matures into,
Yeah.
because yeah.
And what kind of person will be a good match for him too?
Yes, I want to see his heroine so bad. And I'm like, have we met her? Who is
Right.
she? Is she a secondary character we just didn't like, we like glossed over? Is she a wolf? What is she?
That would be
Also, I
interesting
love
too,
a
right?
fox. So
Yeah,
if you can give me a fox shifter, I will love you forever.
that too. Like, I want to see more of their world.
Mhm.
I almost like, well, two things, because I could see it going either way. It's like I could see him needing someone who's physically, I guess, weaker, so he can feel like the protector again,
Mm.
because he felt like he failed
Right.
Willow, or someone who's like physically superior almost, so he can have
Like a
some
wolf or
like
something.
fight
Yeah.
with. I'm like, I don't know, I could go either way, like
Yeah.
both would be
Yeah.
great.
And
So
I
that's
think I could too.
I'm gonna message her and be like, so when's his book?
what's going on with this?
Yeah.
But it's funny you brought that up, Marielle, because in the books, in each book, the sisters all have kind of that same theme of like their partners thinking they need to like
Yeah.
do for them, and they're like, look,
Yeah.
I've got this. Like, and especially later, both Iris and Rose, like their
Yeah.
partners are like, they don't like when they cut themselves, like to do their spells or
Right,
whatever.
to do the
And they're
magic,
like,
right.
look, I'm a witch. I use blood
This
in
is
my
This is
magic. Like,
me.
this is a thing. Like, you're just
Yeah.
gonna have to get over
You're
it.
gonna have to
And
get
like,
over it.
and it's very, and that's I really liked that kind of stayed true throughout, even though the sisters are very different. They do
Yeah.
have a lot of commonalities, and that is one of them. And all of their mates like don't love that. And they just have to
Well,
like, get
Warwick
over
was
it.
put in many positions too, where it was like, okay, I'm going into this force. Whatever, no matter what happens, you can't do anything about it. And he's like, what?
I'm the alpha hellhound.
He's like,
What do you
I'm not
mean?
agreeing to this. Yeah.
However,
You don't feel her?
the moment when she tries to protect him and he is like,
Yeah.
what are you doing exactly? I was like, I mean,
Oh my
if he
God,
wasn't
my
gone
heart. I love
before,
it so
he's
much.
gone now.
Oh yeah. And I love the way he explained it to her later too. Like, literally no one has ever stood between me and danger.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I'm the alpha. I do that. Like, no one
Right.
has ever done that for me before. Like, because I think that's the conversation where she says, oh, you must think I'm pathetic or whatever. And he's like, hell no, I don't.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Like, no one has ever tried to protect me before. Like, you are everything. And like, oh my God, it's so good.
Oh God.
But that
Oh,
moment when, like, for me, I think that was so well done. The moment where because he's so confused about, he's like, what exactly are you trying to do? And she's like, I'm gonna patch you up. I'm gonna rip off, like she's ripping like part of her silk dress, trying to like bandage him up. You are injured. You need to be. And he's just like, wait, hold on. I must process what has happened. You are trying to save me, yes?
Right. Like at first he's like tickled by it. And then he's like,
he's
oh
a freaking
wow.
hellhound. Like,
like tickled and then like super impressed.
Yeah, and like
but
like
touched.
he
I
said he
think
doesn't feel emotion, but come on, dude, you're
Mhm.
feeling emotions over this.
Yes.
this is
We
a
see
person. This book took the whole like, oh, my chest
My
hurts.
chest hurts.
That's weird.
Like
To
to
like
10.
a whole yes.
It did.
Yes.
And
Like
I
he has
think,
to go
like, each
ask
one is
somebody
set
else.
up.
Do I feel
terrible feeling
feelings?
in
I
my
don't think I do.
And it's like each book is set up that like the theme, like the storyline of each book with the heroine is set up to like push those boundaries and those lines, because each one has to do a trial, and the rule is they can't have help, not from family, not from any outsiders. Like they have to do it. They can help peripherally, but the task is totally theirs. So it's like where they want to help them and they want to protect them, it's like, listen, you can't. Like those are the rules, and I have so much at stake here. Like if we break these rules, it's not just
Yeah.
me, it's my family, it's my coven. So I love how she set that up for each book. Like, so each story is, they're going to face that, especially like with Mags and Bram. Like, can you imagine? Because he's her familiar
Yeah.
and he's already like
It's like his
obsessed with
job.
her. Oh, I
Right. Like
can't
it's his
wait.
job to protect her. Yeah.
Yes. And he can't. Like he can, but he can't get involved like with this. And
I
she's
think
gonna,
it's interesting because it highlights the difference between like being supportive
yeah,
and actually like
so
taking
true.
over and doing like, I'll fix it for you versus
Right.
supporting. And I think that in at least in book one, it was really hard because as the alpha of his
Yeah,
group, he's used to like going in there and fixing the things.
yeah,
And here he's got this, mate who it's like, if you try to fix this, you are going to make it worse.
They're gonna
Therefore,
ruin everything. Yeah.
absolutely. He had to like fight against his nature
yeah.
for her. And also because he's the alpha, it's like he's so used to everybody when he says this, like
Jump two.
like,
Yep.
yeah. Like, and she's like, F that.
I don't do that. Yeah.
You're not the boss of me.
Oh my God, it's so good. Okay, so bottom line is, everyone, in case you haven't figured it out, you should read this
Yes.
book, A Curse
Go
in
read
Darkness
this
by
book.
Sherilee Gray. You should also read the rest of the
Also,
book.
if you don't want to read a series that is ongoing because you, like Marielle, are very impatient, you could go read the Knights
Knights of Hell series.
They're all out.
because those
Yeah.
are all out and they
Yeah.
lead into this series too. So,
So
Yeah.
maybe by the
Like
time you get through, I don't know, the way
Right,
I
the book's supposed to be out in May, so
yeah,
not too
that's
far.
like, it's still too far away.
It
It's
is
still
too far.
like,
But if you read 6 books plus 3 books, then
Yeah.
you might be
you're
right in
closer
time.
than you are now.
and
you're
you'll
not
have
like
the
us.
context. You'll have
Yes,
context.
exactly.
Yeah. Because I swear every time she posts a teaser, I'm like all over that and trying to guess like what's happening. Like what, and it's just I'm torturing myself by reading those teasers.
Right,
Ugh.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my
but
gosh.
you need to
So,
read
Naima.
Curse in Darkness and then all of them. Go
And
read
then all of them. And so thank you again, Naima, for picking this because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so now we can chat about your most recent book, if you'd like to tell everybody like what it's about and all that. So we know about that.
Well, I just had a release and it's book 4 in a Rose Bin series, and it's Mr. Right Next Door. And it's my first Mean Girl book, because if you've been reading the series, then you met Jenna, and she's a bit of a wench.
She's
Like,
difficult.
she's very
You-
difficult.
if you listen to us read or do recaps for Rose Bend, you know that Megan could not refer to this heroine without
I called her that bitch Jenna every time I
Yeah,
had to say
that's
her
right.
name.
I think the
She
main
was a
character in the
full-on
Road to Rose
bully
Bin
in book
called her
1.
that bitch. So
in fact when
she was
this
a full-on mean girl bully in book 1. Like,
Yeah,
she was that bitch Jenna. Like
yeah,
there
she
was
was
no
that
other way to
bitch.
describe her.
And that's why it was like, okay, are people gonna go with me and giving her, because there have been series where authors have written like books for the villain, like paranormals have written books for villains. I'm like, I ain't interested. I don't even want to see them get like, no thanks.
Like they don't
But,
deserve to be happy.
That's right. die unhappy.
No ATA for you. I know that when this book was announced, Megan was like, "You're not gonna guess whose book this is." And I was like, "Oh." She's like,
I
"That's
did. I was
People
like,
just
Marielle,
go
look at
with
this.
me. Just go with. I started like setting up what her story is at the end of like with Love from Rosebin, which is book 3. And so I thought, I'm like, okay, I'm setting it up and people are seeing a different side of her. Maybe they'll give her a chance in book 4. So it's her story, and you find out her hero is actually her next door neighbor, hence Mr. Right Next Door. And their meet cute is he moves in. She doesn't know he's moved in already. And she finds out when he's blasting like country music and working on his truck in their shared driveway. And she like goes out in her pajamas and is like, what the fuck, man? Basically.
well, this
As
seems
one
very
does.
relatable."
Yeah.
And so they end up falling in love, but he sees her in a way, and she's turning over a new leaf. You find out why she is was the way that she was. She's trying to change, but she's also leaving Rosebin, has plans to, because she wants to be someone other than Jenna, the ex-mayor's daughter, and how people see her, because she doesn't believe the town can see her as anything different. But he does right from the beginning. Well, not right from the beginning, because they like bump heads, but he does. And he's like the only one, and he helped others see her differently, except for Leo, who already knows that she's different. Because if you read With Love from Rosebin, you see that. And she's trying to force friendship on her. And she's like, Jenna's like, pushing back. But it was a good, I had fun editing it, not writing it. It was kind of, like I said, it was my first Mean Girl book, and she's redeemed. Like, no spoiler alert is not, I mean, that's not a spoiler alert. She's redeemed, and they fall in love, and it's about family. It's about her finding her voice, her finding her place in this world, her changing how people see her and finding acceptance and falling in love with Mr. Right Next Door along the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like for a kind of a small town setting, usually you don't have people who are like, I need to get out of here. You have people like coming in,
right. She needs to
and
get
having to
out.
like rediscover themselves, or
Right.
like adjust. So I think it's interesting to have somebody who is, because that is to me, that's a really interesting theme, like thematic kind of element, is when there's a character who like they have changed, but people around them continue to look at them the way that they've always been.
Exactly. And she's like, she's trying to change. She wants to be this person that she knows she should be, and that she wants to be and is striving to be, but she doesn't believe she can do it here because of how people have seen her all her life,
right?
Because of who her father is, and because of who her parents won't allow her to be. She has secrets, and she can't even share them because she knows her parents will not accept it. And there are already issues in their relationship from her past that they won't let her forget. They kind of like punish her with. And so she knows, in order to really live for the first time, she has to leave. And that's her goal. So yeah, it is a change. Like, because all my other books, people are coming to Rosebin and staying. She's trying to get the hell out.
I feel like most stories that have like a small town feel, it's people like either
outside coming in.
Like they made it out there and they're coming home, or something terrible happened and they're coming home. Or they like, used to, have always been a big city person and now they're coming to a smaller place. Like that feels like a different twist.
Right. Like,
also, when you were describing this, sorry, as you're describing this, it is making me feel like there is going to be angst.
Yeah, like we talked about that. It's a Naima book without angst. I told Megan earlier, I am an angst monster. And as a matter of fact, when I pitched like what the ideas of these books were going to be like to like Harlequin, they emailed back and said, "Are these going to be as angsty as the first three?" I'm like, "Of course."
You're like, have we met? Like,
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, you're giving me 90K. You damn right it's gonna be angsty.
Oh, that's funny. You're like, I have to fill those
Right. That's gonna be
pages with
60% of the workout. But
Oh
there
my
are
gosh.
times like they have a lot of laughter because you're introduced to another family with the hero's family. And and so there's laughter there, and also there's like healing of friendships, because remember Jenna, Leo, and Sydney were friends in high school, and then something happened. You'll find out what that is, but you'll see healing on all sides of the aisle. So yeah, so it had to be angsty. There was a lot of emotion that had to come out.
I do think if you're going to redeem somebody who was so terrible, then
She was
they need,
terrible.
she was terrible. But if you're going to redeem them, then you need to really like show us what. And you are good at doing that.
And I think like what we've seen like in the first, especially the first book, how horrible her father is. So you can guess what kind of influence that had on her.
Yeah.
So you'll see even more of that here in what their dynamic is like, what in like their past to now, what changed it, why she behaved the way she did. And she's not, and like I'm not excusing it, because there's no excuse for being mean, but there were reasons why, and she acknowledges and accepts and owns her
like
behavior.
It was like lashing out because of what she was going through.
Right. And as a defense mechanism, like if I'm this bitch, like she tells Leo in the third book, people behave the same way towards the good girl and the bitch. Nobody wants to get past the shield to find out what's beneath. And it's true. They either accept you're a bitch or they accept that you're happy, and they don't want to hear what's different if there's pain underneath. So they just have different sides of the spectrum going on.
Yeah, I do think that's one of the things that I love about reading in general, is that you can kind of confront things, because in real life I believe that once someone has like a reputation for being a certain way, or that people believe that they're a certain way, it's really easy to overlook like the circumstances behind even like a specific, like if you were terrible and mean 3 weeks ago, and then today something happens to you and you like start to get upset, it's real easy for everybody to be like, she's mean, it was her fault. And meanwhile they're not paying attention to the fact that actually you are the like wronged party that today, because we already have decided. So I think it's cool to read a story where you are in someone's head who has, so we get one idea of her, and then you can look at a different perspective and see.
I really like, I've gotten great feedback about it so far. Nobody's messaged me yet and said
that
she still didn't,
that bitch Jenna's still a bitch.
So I'm just going to accept I did my job.
Yes, of course you did. You're the best.
We had no doubt. We just didn't know that you were gonna do that. That's all.
It's on you. You didn't know I was gonna spring this on you.
We love a surprise. Okay, so you want to tell everybody where they can find you on the internets?
Of course, I am on Facebook at Naima Simone Author, and Instagram at Naima Simone Author. Not at Twitter, really, especially now, but not underscore. And I think it's like Naima Simone _ Simone. I don't know, one of those. Naima Simone.
They can find all the links on your website.
Yeah, and of course my website, www.naimasimone.com.
And you have a reader group as well.
Yes, the Saints and the Sinners.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
We have Meme Monday. That's where I get all my great memes from.
Okay, your memes never fail to kill. Like, just slay me. And I'm always saving them. I'm like, this is funny.
That's funny.
Oh Oh gosh, there's always some gems in there too. I usually say something in
Yes.
that thread myself.
Yes. I just steal. Y'all give me so many to steal. That's why I have me Monday.
Good way to start the
Yeah,
week.
so if you want like early sneak peeks of books or a little insights
Yes.
about things, definitely join the group.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's on Facebook, right? Because that's the reason I'm not.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And I've also I'm involved in Bonkers Romance and Katie Roberts Kickstarter, like the Dangerous
Yes.
Tides Kickstarter
Oh
this
yes,
year.
the pirates.
The pirates. So I've been posting like little snippets from there too. So
Yeah.
if you want to read like early dances of that, get on in there.
Yes. The
My
pirates.
dirty
I'm
pirate.
excited about the pirates.
Yeah, I had so much fun writing that. Like,
That's
because
awesome.
that's like out of my wheelhouse, and I just had.
I was gonna say we were
a
talking about
ball.
this paranormal, and I'm like, that's definitely not a thing that Naima normally does.
No, no. But then it's like this. I was like, damn, I had just like a good time writing that. And I got to go, like, I'm nowhere near a dark romance writer, but I got to go a little darker
Yeah.
than usual. So that was fun.
Awesome.
I'm excited to see this new side of you.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, I mean, he's still a dirty talker and he's all the way dirty. So I mean, that's still there. That's still there.
All the good bits are still there. That's the important part.
Yeah, yeah.
So not a new side, maybe different facets. There we
Yes.
go. We're adding. We're
Yeah.
not taking anything away.
Right.
No, it's still all the good parts still there.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you loved this book. And if you did, we hope you keep on with the series because they're truly great. And Naima, truly thank you for picking this book for us. It's the
Yeah.
first time we've had somebody else pick a book for us, and it was wonderful.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad y'all loved it. So glad.
Yeah, like send us recs anytime.
Yes, anytime. We're here for you.
Okay. You know, ain't nothing but a word for me. Like,
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month.
Bye.